This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
A very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend podcast. And whilst we're all under the weather with illnesses and things like that, this doesn't stop us from getting stuck into a fantastic weekend's racing at Aintree for the Becher chase, Sandown for the Tingle Creek. And we'll also be touching on the Drinmore Royal Bond on Sunday. Fabulous meeting at Fairyhouse for Irish listeners. And we'll be touching on that as well as the Borders National at Kelso on Sunday. So it's an action-packed show. And there's just three of us. As I say, a few cried off from injuries and illness this week, but it's myself, John Joleng, as always, and joining us this week, for the first time this season, it's the Naps King from last year, Andy Richmond.
resting on my laurels, had a few technical problems, but all sorted now. And I, like you and the producer, are a little bit under the weather at the moment, but I'm sure we'll be fine.
Yeah, indeed, and it's great to have Andy back because obviously this jumps action, he'll put us straight, I'm sure, with some interesting facts and stats and some good form analysis coming forthwith. Okay, without further ado, because we've got plenty to get through, we're going to get on with the three best bets round. As you know, always this is 1.2.3 points, and it's our best bets for new listeners. It's our best bets for the weekend. So Andy Richmond, I'm going to come to you first for your 1 pointer.
That's quite a boring one, actually, but I can't think that I've been as impressed by a young novice chaser, and from quite a surprising yard as well, Tim Vaughan's yard, in quite some while. Yard's been very under the weather, and I've always found Tim very, very accommodating in his media work, etc., when you speak to him. And it's nice to see the stable bounce back. And the horse I'm referring to is Dalamois, who won on the 7th of November at Kempton, took a handicap chase there. It wasn't the greatest chase in the world, but if you've seen a better first time out round the jumping, I ain't seen it much. He's got he's got a reasonable pedigree. He's a half brother to Don Poley and DBC, and I just couldn't have taken the fences any better. As I say, it wasn't a great race, but he looked potentially smart visually, and as I say, jumped really well. Defied a mark of 117, jumped impeccably. The leap, 4 out, that last in the back straight at Kempton was very, very good, and he absolutely cruised clear. As I say, the form itself, not the greatest piece of form in the world. Actually, nothing yet of the race has really come out and run yet. There's a couple that were pulled up, but he had them strung out all over the place by 7.5 lengths from quick draw of Chemical Nickies. And I just thought it was a really nice performance. And he's in again tomorrow at Chepstow in the 102. We've got the strange time tomorrow for a mark of 125. Doesn't look to be an awful lot of strength in depth again, but it looks like a young chaser going places. I'll be disappointed if he doesn't jump as well tomorrow. So at 1 point on Dalamois, I know it's not the greatest price, probably around a 2-1, but I just like the horse.
15-8 generally available at this moment in time. But I would say, Andy, like you said, I think you make a very good point. It did absolutely piss up that day at Kempton. I can't. In fact, I was quite surprised it's only gone up what it has for that effort, which I think is £8. I think it's it was a more noteworthy performance than that. I don't think this is any stiffer than what it had to be probably last time, and I agree with you. I think that's absolutely rock solid. Great start.
It's a bit dull, but
it's dull. But
he just jumped, and I just thought it was really not. I really would like Tim Vaughan, who I find a really personable, trainer. He's always very helpful. I'd just love to see him with a decent horse.
Indeed, he's had some tough seasons.
And when he first burst on the scene, you thought he's going to make that. He almost made that step into Saturday horses, shall we say, and he just hasn't quite made it yet. And I just think maybe this is the horse that he's got a fair way to go, obviously, but I just he's got one or two nicely handicapped horses. I just like to see, you like to see. There's certain people you like to see do well, and Tim's one of them. And I just thought this was a decent performance. If people haven't seen that performance on the 7th of November, go and watch it. if you can find a better, first time out jumping performance, then I've yet to see it.
Good stuff. Dalamoir for Andy Richmond, the excellent Alan Johns in the saddle, 15-8 available generally, and I agree with Andy. I think that could go 5-4. Is my prediction tomorrow, so that's a good start. I'll follow it up then, and we go to the Becher chase at Aintree, and it was a very painful experience for me last time. This cost me the naps table. It's Jess Keel for the rejuvenated yard of Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrero. 6-1's available for this horse, and he's a horse I absolutely adore. I think for a 6-year-old to be already attacking the ferns and mixing it with the older sorts, I think this horse has got a big future if they manage him correctly. And I think this will be a big run, a very big run. It was a big run in the Grand Sefton last time. People say he's unlucky not to get up. Next stride he was up, but that's racing. Now the 3 mile 2. I think the difference here, because of the step up in trip, I think he'll be able to travel that bit better. He did travel well, but Henry obviously got him in a place last time. It was a bit far back, and I think he was the only one to sort of like come from, that far back, and actually it was prominent runners galore. And I think that because of the slightly slower pace over the 3 mile 2, I know they go lickety split over the national fences, but the slightly slower pace will help him possibly just ride that little bit handier and keep him in close touch, so he doesn't have to make up so much ground late in the day. And I think that's the key. 3 mile 2 will be no problem. He'll stay absolutely no problem. So I think it's a good. I'm not saying it's an amazing price. It's disappointing after we couldn't land the sort of 10-12-1 last time, but 6-1 is more than okay. And that doesn't make my best bet because of the price. Some of you might want to go and find the best each way terms, like Sky Bet go 7 places and a lot play 6 places. But I'm 1 point on the nose at 6-1 with Denise and Billy Mountains. So, John Joe, just to finish the 1 point round, coming to you.
You say attacking the ferns there. Jesus.
Is that terrible?
I think the producer should get you a pair of mustard-coloured cards.
Have I gone all cliche?
Maybe some tweeds.
Yeah.
Some brogues.
Yeah.
Have I disgusted you with my cliched quote?
I was somewhat taken aback.
It's fair comment.
Yeah.
It's fair. I am fair game for that, yeah.
I would say more, but I've pledged off the C-bomb this week. So.
And you've stopped smoking?
No.
Never that, but anyway.
I'm adding to the fog.
More on that on the sermon. Go on, John, 1 pointer.
Yeah, it's such a cracking weekend of national hunt action. I'm starting at the 6:50 at Dunstall. David Lothnairn's Flag Flying, which is a little bit of a hunch bet, but I do think this has the potential to make up into quite a nice horse given the right set of circumstances. Whether tomorrow is the right set of circumstances, I'm not entirely sure, but made a great start, won his maiden, then they whacked him into a Group 3 at Kempton, and I think it was all a bit much for him. And then, I wouldn't say it blew his brains out, but he was way too keen on his third start. Since then, they've had the unkindest cut of it all and gelded him. Nice little cliche there. Which I think will help. He's in against horses bordering on listed Class A, but I think they're quite exposed with the possible exception of the Camacho horse that could improve. Given the likely improvement, given the gelding situation, I think he ought to compete here. He's got a nice draw that should lock him up and he should finish his race off. Just 0.5 point each way, though.
0.5 point each way. I'm hunting round for some each way terms.
I think we're about 8, aren't we?
I'm looking now. Flag Flying. You know your 14s with Denise.
That's it, that's.
That's 1/5, 1, 2, 3. So 0.5 point each way for John Joe. Just one thing, John, on that selection. I know it's quite a lot of money, but maybe not a lot of money. 38,000 guineas they paid at the autumn sale for this. Obviously, Kalachi's owner, David Lowe. Do we think that that's cheap, or is there a problem? Do you think at the sales maybe?
It probably is a little bit on the cheap side.
Because you look at that debut when it pissed up, absolutely pissed up. And I thought this is a top prospect. So much so that when they ran in the Kempton Group 3, when Mischief Magic won, I dutched both of them at morning prices. Obviously, they were a lot shorter, but those were the two I actually bet in the race. So I'm backing that against Breeders' Couples.
Yeah.
And obviously it's bombed out since against Bolt Action, completely just bombed, pulled its nuts
that
off.
That looked like just utter reaction to the second run to me.
Do you know what? Gelding, I wonder if Gelding might, like you, this could be the making of it as well, Gelding it. Because it was...
That's the key to the hunch. Really.
Yeah, very keen, wasn't it? Very keen on last start. Could be an interesting choice. That. Okay, so that's round one. John, I'm gonna swing it to you for number two.
Wow, we're on the rebound already. Okay, this will shock the listener, rigid. 110 Sandown.
Oh,
yes. What's the collective for a bunch of tizzards? Is it Tizzies, would you say? Copperhead.
Yeah.
Now, this one's been prone to making serious errors over fences. Even for lunatics like the Tizzies, it's a sensible move to give him a spin over the little ones, I think. The thing is this, he's on a ridiculous mark for hurdle racing. Given he was smashed up at early prices last time at Ascot, obviously the jumping fell apart again. You would think that took, prior to that, they were convinced they had him somewhere near his best for that run. Now, in 2020, he went off 12-1 for a Hennessy off 152. He runs here off 134. Now, I fully appreciate that handicap hurdles are harder to win than chases, hence you don't need plenty up your sleeve coming back to hurdles. But I think he has to be of interest at 14 plus 1 point each way.
It's an interesting shout. Copperhead's an old favourite of mine. Backing him way in the day off 116 at Sandown. I had a big bet that day over hurdles, and then he just took off over fences. Like you say, very well handicapped. Interesting switch back down to hurdles. You make a very good case off a mark of 134, John. And so it's 18-1. I'm going to give you, and that's 4 places with Sky Bet as well. So
delicious.
Yeah, so bit of 4 places, 18s for John, 1 each way on Copperhead. Andy Richmond, your second best.
Right, I'll be going head to head with John then.
Ooh.
Because we're going in the 110. A horse I really like, Bridge North, from the Mr. Daly stable. Ran really well last time out. Considering this horse, he won a couple of sort of small novice races last year. Then finished 5th in the Sefton when he was an 80-1 chance. Ran really well. He didn't get beaten that fine. He got beaten 21 lengths. And then they started him off this year, Class 2 handicap at Aintree. And my notes for that race were that was run at a modest gallop. The form should prove sound, and there will be winners that come from the race. It certainly wasn't run to suit Bridge North, who ended up finishing 5th and was far from suited by the sprint from home that the race turned into. Twice a winner last year on soft ground as a novice, so for similar sort of trips. He ran a fine race on his final run of last season here at Aintree in the Grade 1 Sefton Novices, an 80-1 chance. He was beaten 22 lengths into 5th, which gave us a taste of what he could do when given a proper stamina test. It's worth pointing out that the Sefton is a fine source of chasers for the future, and that ultimately that's where I would expect Bridge North to make his mark. But on this occasion, he shaped really well after 7 months off. But the modest pace of the race and the shorter trip proved all against him. But the way he finished off this contest proved that his ability is intact in a more strongly run race over 3 miles. He gets almost that on the Sandown slot tomorrow. Hopefully they'll bring him towards the stand side. He would be of interest, especially if there was plenty of cut in the ground. He certainly looked it that way this afternoon. I'd certainly be interested if they make the switch to fences with him. But I think tomorrow afternoon in this handicap off this particular mark against a field which I can't see anything there that looks particularly ahead of its mark. I think off 126 Bridge North, probably around the 9-2, 5-1 mark.
9 to 2 with
roll in with him for a couple of points until Mr. Daly, who's been in good form, sticks him over fences.
On the nose, Andy? Are we 2 points with Denise on the nose at 9 to 2 for the very unexposed Bridge North? Absolutely does look very well in. Good choice, Andy, going against John head-to-head there in the 110. I'll finish the round off. Going to Aintree for the finale there, the 3:15. Again on ITV4. And I wouldn't have tipped this if it wasn't for a message I had last week. And it's the Nicky Henderson horse Walking on Air. I've got a decent Hendo contact. I don't get many bets from him. Literally, they're ultra shrewd. It's not a horse really. I couldn't really work it out. Walking on Air, that's a 3:15 entry, and it's 100 to 30 favourite at the moment. And it's not a horse I could have personally gone for, like when it was declared at Ascot and it was pulled out to the ground. Popeye with the ground. And yeah, I know. It's a terrible man. But the message was that they think this horse has unlimited ability, whatever that means. It's absolutely flying. It's a monster. And they're saying that 132 it would make mincemeat of. What I also like is that the fact that James Bowen takes over from Stonehands, and that can only be a good thing because Nico, especially I think last year, I don't think Nico was riding very well at all. That was my opinion. I think he's not the best at the best times, but I just don't think he was having a good time last year. And the ride at Aintree, the fact they made him 9 to 2 to win a Grade 1, 9 to 2 to win a Grade 1, 132 he's off. Now the market spoke that day. He's owned by the Tabors, so they know what they've got. And they obviously know they've got more than 132. And Aintree pulled really hard, and Nico didn't settle it, and it made terrible jumping errors, and including one catastrophic mistake 6 out, which I watched back, and it was one of the worst kinds where they leave the back legs in, and it hits, and the hurdle like wraps back and hits them on the back legs. I think they're the worst ones because I think it hurts them. And I think after that, Nico pulled it up literally before they got the straight. So I think you can just strike that. Don't even think that's anything like its form. It was very impressive the time before. So I'm going with the info here because my contact there would know more than me on this in terms of ability wise. He says this is miles better than 132, and also the fact that James Bowen takes over is very appealing for me because this fellow can settle a horse a lot better than old Stonehands. So I'm going to go with the 2 points on the noggin, 100 to 30 with old Paddy Power, if you can get on with Paddy Power. I think Icy can, but I don't know. Oh, he's at Boylesports. He's one of them. He can walk into a shop and they'll lay him a monkey's worth. But anyway, 100 to 30 Walking on Air. That's my 2-pointer to finish the round. Okay, I'll spin it back round then to start the max bets. These are the ones you want to listen to. These are our very best. And, folks, we have a klaxon. Yes, we have a good old klaxon. I'm really keen in the 110. So you know what it is. Andy Richmond. Andy Richmond tipped it earlier. No, I love Copperhead. I do. Copperhead has bought me many drinks. Was that a cider, Copperhead?
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah.
So I actually did a funny there and didn't know I'd done a funny, but no one anyway because my funnies are not funny. But that's the idea. I mean, even my daughter says about my dad jokes are terrible. So anyway,
that's selfish funny though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Bridge North. Andy pretty much summed it up really that the last race at Aintree was no good for him. He slowly run. He's 2.5 miles short trip anyway. He ran a blinder against Gelino Bello in the Grade 1 at Aintree. Coming from the back really when it didn't suit that. They were all on the front end. Before that was incredibly impressive when beating Silver Flyer. The mark is ridiculous. 126. I would say this is probably a 140 horse over hurdles over 3 miles. Definitely late 130s anyway if you want to be nitpicky. But the only problem I've got, I think he wins. I ain't got a problem. I think he does win this tomorrow. The only problem I've got is Richard Patrick. I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan of Richard Patrick. I backed a horse called Petty Cash last week as a big bet in the Novices Handicap. Took 4-1. He's gone off 6-4. And I thought Richard Patrick gave it a lot to do. And he 15 lengths at the tapes. And I don't know, it's a really ordinary ride. And I just put a caution when backing horses ridden by Richard Patrick. I'm not a fan. I think he's all right, and that's it. So you're not going to get any help from the saddle, but that's the negative. But other than that, we have a klaxon that sets off the max bet round. 3 points at 9-2 on the nose to match with Andy, and we can do a circle jerk after that. Enough of that. Anyway, John, I'm coming to you for your 3-pointer.
What the hell was a circle jerk?
You don't want to know.
It's not what I just had a mental picture of.
I'm not saying it. We might lose his Apple Clean rating.
I think that's already gone.
That's gold, isn't it?
It's only a matter of time, isn't it, for that?
Well, anyway.
I'm surprised it's not got the old parental advisory on the front of it.
Do you remember them old dodgy films that used to be on Channel 4 with a red triangle in the corner of the screen?
Yeah. I know. Times have got worse. They have. Them were the days.
Yeah, I remember that film about the freaks where there was a gadget with no legs running through the forest on his hands. That was terrible. I didn't sleep for days. Black and white. My God. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, back to the 3-pointer.
Yeah, back to the 3-pointer. Wolverhampton back on solid ground again.
Yeah.
550 Wolverhampton, Mighty River. He's already placed in a Class 4 maiden, so there's no harm in winning the Class 5. Won't have his potential mark for next year. Nicely drawn in the 4 box. Ought to gain a better position than his chief form rivals, I think. I think there's a Towser and Slim filly making debut that looks like she'll have to come from last given her draw. Interesting fact on this race, Towser's won 3 of the last 5 runnings of this, including with the useful sort, so I would expect one of his to be of interest in the betting, but I think this one sets a fair standard. It's going to be hard to beat tomorrow, so I'm going 3 points win on Mighty River.
3 points win, Mighty River. Sets the standard, says John Ross, Ryan James Tate. I think it's 3-1 available for you, John.
Yeah,
it is with Billy Mountains, Paddy's, Betfair, Sky Bet. Generally available, so 3 points on the nose. Just one thing, John. They've made that Lordship stud pay 680,000 guineas for Gosden's in that race.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's...
Who's been raising their arm there, up and down, at various sides of the ring?
Well, maybe they sent Slim there when Tipping Point was on, and he got the ump, and he thought, "I'll show you."
It's all that money they've had to give Hancock. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, they must be
allegedly.
Sick at that. Yeah, they must be all sick at that. The 10 to Hancock.
Yeah.
Was that the missus, John, that donated that?
Oh, the missus did 10 as well.
Oh, it's 10 as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mr. did 2 lots of 10, and the missus did 10.
They tried to get the money backing him in I'm a Celebrity, probably.
Yeah.
Well, he should be cleaning the bloody kitchen for the next 5 years, shouldn't he?
I know where I'd put him.
Anyway, but
I'd leave him in that fucking jungle.
Absolutely, yeah. He might make the list for the Cotties coming up soon.
He's got my vote, I tell you. Yeah,
tune in for the Cotties, folks. It's all going to be happening this month. For your favourites to win the famous Cotty Award of 2022. Okay, to finish the round, thanks, John, for that. 3 points on the nose there for James Tate. Andy Richmond finishes off.
Well, I don't know if you could probably get half a klaxon out for this, because I'm going to have to split stake this in the old Becher chase. So you can guess one of them.
Ooh, yes.
With Jess Keel. So
yes.
I will read you. You probably pretty much summed it up, actually. But I mean, in that race, it was very much the case that you, like most of the nationals these days, most of the races over the national, but you need to be on the front end. And 3 out of the first 4 home were ridden the same way, and the one that wasn't was the very patiently ridden Jess Keel. Held up, he came from well off the pace. He moved well. He's been a real flag bearer for the Green or Guerrero team this year. He's done very well actually. He jumped really well. I mean, like you, Lee, I love the horse. I think he's really good. Since joining the yard, he's done nothing but improve. His form figures now read 1-1, 2-1, 2. His most recent win came in a listed chase at Auteuil in June, as he was pretty unlucky last time out. Two of his wins have actually seen him ridden a little more prominent than he was in that last race as well. I mean, I had him marked down for something like the Topham, or maybe if they can get him into a national, something like that. But he certainly jumps well, so he's half the bet. And I cannot resist 5-star Getaway in the same race. I just couldn't split them. I know the stable's not in the greatest of form. I thought it was really interesting that they haven't got him entered in the Welsh Grand National, for which there's a very good trial race tomorrow, for which you probably should have a look at Wayfinder. But the owners are local here, and he ran very well at Bangor last time out. I think this is a bit of a long-term plan for him as well. This extra 5 furlongs will suit him. He finished midfield in last spring's Topham. The extra 5 furlongs will suit him now. He's had a third to Lamilos at Sandown in February, and that looks a really good race now. I just think he's one that there's been a bit of money around for him. The yard's been a bit quiet, but not too many of their runners have been really well fancied. He's another bold jumper. 8-year-old is quite the right sort of age for this. I thought he ran a really nice race at Bangor last time out, very eye-catching. It wasn't exactly put under the pump, and again the stable haven't been that well. I thought he might go a little bit more under the radar than he has, but there's been a little bit of money for him. But I shall split my 3 points, half on 5-star Getaway and half on Jess Keel. So you can call it half a Klaxon.
Love it. No, so we've actually, I'm going to call it a double Klaxon, really. So we've a duo Klaxon. Nice to see us agreeing. 6-1 Jess Keel again. Denise, Billy Mountain's Unibet. 10-1 5-star Getaway.
Yeah, if you wanted to split it, I'd split it equally, but I'd favour Jess Keel slightly more. But I fancied a pair of them and I couldn't split them, and I think it's a good race. Nice to see a good field in that race as well, the Becher. I mean, it is. Wow. Should be fantastic. Over the ferns. Let's get it there. Get it right.
I've been lambasted from my co-partner.
That could be a name of a horse. He's disgusted. Over the ferns.
Yeah, Jonas Lang is disgraced. He's disgusted with me tonight. Probably not speak to me until Sunday evening. So that's the way it goes. I've upset him there with cliche-ridden rubbish.
You'll be in the tweed suit with the flat cap, the brogues, and the red sock suit.
Quality stuff. This is the part of the show where we discuss obviously the TV action going forwards. We've got a real action-packed card tomorrow with Aintree and Sandown. So we'll come to Aintree first out of the 2 meetings. And the Many Clouds chase sees Ahoy Senor, very keen, big rangy kind of chaser. Really excites people when he's on his A game, and that was evident last season. But chaps, at 13-8, I don't think he's a betting proposition tomorrow.
I wouldn't back him in that. I'd love to. I think I'm a bit like most people with this horse. I'd love to see him turn in a really, he has been capable of a really good performance, because I love the stable, and I love the way they've campaigned him, and I'd really like to see him pull out. I just couldn't back him at that price, because you don't quite know which Ahoy Senor is going to turn up. Yeah. I just think he was very free last time. The horse I'm fascinated to see tomorrow is Sounds Russian.
Yes.
I really like, again, another horse I really like. I-Right let his form down with his Kelso win down last weekend. That's the first time I've seen I-Right run a really poor race. But I like that horse, and it's not a race I want to have a bet in. I think it's a race to watch. I think some really nice horses in it. It's hard to rule any of them out completely. The trip might be a bit short for Noble Yates. Chantry House, probably first time out's the time to catch him. You're not quite sure which Ahoy Senor is going to turn up. Dashel Drash is actually off quite a nice weight, and Sam Brown's a player as well. I think it's a smashing race. I couldn't have a bet in it. but there's two or three horses that I really like in there. And if somebody said to me, you've got to have a bet, and the one I'd want to win would be Sounds Russian. So I just think he's a really nice horse.
I like Sounds Russian. I've never been a fan of Callum Bewley. I'll just be honest on that. I should just not. But nevertheless, the horse, he's always part of the horse. He's very progressive. It's always it's improving. And he's a horse. If someone gun to the head, what are you going to back? It probably would be Sounds Russian. I do think Dashel Drasher might spoil the show for Hoy Senor will just bomb off.
Yeah.
Dashel Drasher will not.
He's a tough bugger, isn't he, Dashel Drasher?
He'll want to lead. He's not going to sit second. He will try and lead. That's the horse's makeup. So again, if you're backing on Hoy Senor short, you've got problems before you start the race, I think. John, thoughts on this?
Wouldn't back the favourite.
No.
I think overall, I'd probably side with Sounds Russian if I had to have a bet. I'm glad I don't have to.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a proper trappy race. Sounds Russian probably the percentage. So.
Yeah. And of course, for you Nico backers, tomorrow you've got Nico off angle. James Bowen in the saddle for Chantry House might be a plus with a wind up. Listen, I mean Chantry House might not be the most reliable conveyance, but nevertheless, if you do like that horse, James Bowen has to be a plus. Becher Chase, me and Andy's going to sit this one out because we've summed it up in spades. John?
Anything barring Snow Leopardess, I would think.
Do you think she's a bit long in the tooth now at 10?
Well, I just don't want a Fox Pit Mutual's nosh off really after that. Yeah.
You don't want to see the coverage after that if that wins. No, agreed.
Telly will be going off.
There are a couple of very well handicapped horses in that if you could disregard about their last year's form, and that would be Domaine de Lille and Cloth Cap, but I'm not sure I could force myself to back either, to be quite honest with you.
No, the problem with Cloth Cap is he started bleeding quite a lot. So it's once horses start doing that, they remember it. And
I think yours is pretty solidly, to be honest.
Yeah, because it jumps them, and it's got no problem there, and it's just a case of running. I think to go close, probably. That's what I think. But
yeah, I mean, you always earn massive mileage in the race, but
no,
what sort of price would you be comfortable laying him at? No, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to lay him at 6-1 myself.
Well, I think at moment you get like about 8 on the exchange, and like I'm a taker. If it's 8 come purse time tomorrow, I'm in the backing camp around 8 on the machine. Right. Yeah, but if you want the big each way terms, which some of obviously punters listening to this, so that they'll be getting 6 and 7 places with certain firms. Very attractive if you can get on. Because you've got a big safety net there. If say things don't go quite right for Jess Keel, which I'd still think he'll be going pretty close anyway, even if things don't go quite right. I think he'd be in the 4 or whatever. Anyway, okay. 240 at Aintree is the Boylesports money back second handicap chase. Riders on the Storm is the right fav if you consider the level of the form last time where he beat Hitman and Garlaw. Garlaw's won at Cheltenham. The form's been advertised. Hitman's won since. Very, very strong form, that chap's. For Richard Hobson yard, which was very quiet, Richard and Claire Hobson last season. But they are back with a bang, I think, this year. I think they're looking a lot better.
Yeah, how's that only gone up £2 for that? The old handicapper there. It's like, it was a bit light on him, wasn't he?
It is, and I can't knock anyone tipping this or backing this at 100 to 30. What I would say, if you watched the race last time, he was a bit low over his fences early on, and that's something that can be a problem at Aintree, even though he was course and distance that he won last time. If you get low, you might come a cropper, and his jumping got better as the race got on. That might be a plus point. In other words, that the horse is back and he got confidence and maybe he steps forward again, because this is a horse, remember, that was rated 160 odd at one point for Twisters. So old Brian Hughes, creepy sort of out the back. There's a good pace on as well, I think, that'll suit him. So there's there's not a lot not to like. A lot of front runners in this, and yeah, I can't knock the 100 to 30 if anyone fancies riders on this one.
There's one I do quite like in there. If 5 Star Getaway runs well from his runs well in the Becher, because this one was 2 places in front of him at Bangor last time, at night in Dubai. I think he's pretty well handicapped as well, and I think that was the Skeltons are again in good form. I must admit, I'm not a bit like you and certain jockeys. I'm not a massive Harry Skelton fan. I must admit, there's either 2 ways of riding them: gun them off in front or hold them up too far out the back. Is a bit 2-dimensional, but
yeah, I think he decks too many horses as well. I think that's the thing.
I'm not a massive fan, I must admit, but I think he's certainly got a chance in this. Clan Legends won the race the last couple of years, probably getting a little bit old now. Horse I've had a long history with, Schihalian Monroe, always interests me as well. I think this horse should be a much better horse than he's really turned out to be. But it is a very competitive race. So if you think there was 13 runners in it, 10 of the 13 won or finished second last time out. So it's probably something where you probably need a bit of a price in, and the ones we've mentioned aren't much of a price. Again, Cooper's Cross I think is a horse on the up, but again ridden by one of my non-favourite jockeys, Sam Coulthard.
Yeah, John.
I don't think Empire Steel quite pulled it all together last year. I think that one's still open to a bit of improvement. I thought that was interesting at a big price.
28s for Big Sandy. Big Sandy and Wrestle in the saddle.
Yeah.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, Big Sandy and Wrestle. Empire
That's a good one there.
Yeah. And the thing is, another one of them, John, right? He's only 8. And it just seems like he's been around quite. I don't know what it is, but some horses just leave a lasting memory. And I'm thinking Empire Steel, it'd be about 12, won't it? And it's 8.
As I say, I think this could be a good season for the horse, actually.
Interesting, 28. Love John's mentions, because you often get. It's quite weird, John, because sometimes you'll like go 0 from 3 on your three best bets, and then in your mentions you'll have like 25s and 33 to 1 winners. It's frustrating. He does it a lot.
I wish I'd have put that in.
Yeah, I know exactly.
He's just talking about Empire Steel. Just noticed here that he's done well off breaks before. He won an air handicap off over fences, over 2.5 on the heavy, off a 281 day break, and he won at Kelso. He won a Kelso novice, only beat 2 rivals off an 81 day break as well, and he ran well off in November last year off when he first came back off a 225 day break, was second to 7. So he's obviously a horse who goes quite well when he's fresh.
Yeah, there you go, pin stickers.
He's down ready when he wants Big Sandy.
Yeah, he can. Absolutely. There you go, pin stickers. A nice price there from John. 3.15 at Aintree finishes the card off there. The Boylesports extra places daily handicap hurdle. I've tipped in this with the Popeye trained walking on air. Thoughts on this, chap?
Herbiers.
Yes, very.
Yeah. I think this one proper needed that window, and I think that one, a mere stripling at 5 years old. I think this horse is still open to tremendous improvement. I really respect the Popeye horse. I think that's very dangerous. But I do like Herbiers. I think that's got some more to offer.
And of course, John, nothing wrong with that. It beat Grivatana very comfortably at Newbury. And Grivatana came out and made First Street pull out all the stops in the Jerry Fielden.
I think the form's pretty solid,
Very strong, yeah.
As I said, I don't think he'd be bang straight for that, so I think there's more to come.
It'd be interesting to see what they're doing with Langer Dan this year. Are they working back from Cheltenham and trying to get him well handicapped again?
Yeah, I don't. Do you know what? I don't see Langer Dan winning that tomorrow or getting it. I don't think it's even going to be. I'm that busy. I think that they'll have got certain targets with that horse, and I don't think it's tomorrow. That's how I see it. Might be wrong, and it might just bolt up. But there'll be certainly, I think, bigger fish to fry for Langer Dan off top weight, as if they're going to like beat the horse up tomorrow off top weight.
I could see Harbour Lake running well, and one horse will trade bigger in running, and it's not really a later pack opportunity, is Benson, who's an absolute, I think the horse is an absolute hound, to be honest with you.
Oh, Benson, that was the one that Endo had, didn't it? Was it Henderson?
No, he was with Newland for a while.
Oh, that's it, Dr. Newland, yeah. And he was, like you say, proper.
Horse is an absolute hound. It's one of those horses you do not want to lay him at big prices in running, because he's going to be one of those when the pace collapse one day, he's going to severely bite someone in the arse. But pre-race backing it at 8s, there's no way I'll be backing it at 8s, I can tell you, because he will trade bigger than that. He'll probably be off the bridle at halfway, and then you'd be thinking, hang on a minute, he's going to run on. And if you've got a really strongly run race and the pace collapsed, he'd be the sort of horsey, but you really wouldn't want to be backing him at 8s, I tell you.
No, it's fair comment is that from Andy. Okay, we'll move to Sandown. 145 races, the Henry VIII Novices Chase to get the ITV card off there. John Bon heads the list at 1 to 3. Obviously, this is where Blogger stands there with his selfie stick going, rocket.
What was the one he was going on about last week at Newcastle? Oh, Jesus.
I don't know, he's blocked us, but...
I saw it through something else, because it just... I was like, left him! We were getting a left him! Fuck off. Just
left him! Yeah,
I mean, crap drives me absolutely mad.
Obviously, Bootle was impressive at Ascot. Sir Scottish, I think, would have beaten it. Had it jumped better, but if my auntie had bollocks, etc. But Bootle did the job, jumped fantastic. Did the job nicely. John mentioned this in the last, didn't you, John? You said I think Bootle, and I said Cliff Horse, John. Cliff Horse. He's proven, I think, last time he's no longer a Cliff Horse, and Harry Fry is in fantastic form.
He's in good form, the Fry boy.
He is, and I've got a lot of time for Jonathan Burke, who rode a really good, I think, treble at Newcastle.
Fighting he's riding really well at the moment.
He is, Jonathan Burke. So it's a very credible rival. I don't think John Bon can afford any mistakes. I think Bootle's probably 150. So John Bon's gonna have to make sure that he keeps it error free. And at 1 to 3 and 100 to 30, I think the market's, I don't know, possibly a shade short. John Bon, I'd probably go something like 2 to 5, sort of like 5 to 2 would be my sort of, price range. Thoughts, chaps?
Well, my thought is
if I went to the 5 and somebody came at me with $5 grand, I'd probably come up and piss off.
Do you love the John Bon, John?
Not especially. I just think the price is right,
Yeah.
I think it'll probably win, but might not.
Well, if he goes and wins, we're going to see some ridiculous prices for the Arkle. But if you're thinking of backing him for that, you've got to remember that Mr. Mullins hasn't unleashed anything of his yet. A fair few horses like Appreciate It, Flame Bearer, Sir Gerhardt. Do you really want to be backing that at round 2 to 1?
Well,
I think so.
Yeah, I know what you said. I mean, there's been a lot of debate over this prior to, after the Warwick run, and I get where some people say I would take 2 to 1. The reason being that I could see the Arkle sort of like cutting up again this year. It's but like you say, Andy, you've also got that bomb to drop in.
Yeah, but you've also got the fact that the trainer is shit scared of running them on anything other than what he considers to be perfect going. And we used to say he wouldn't pull it out at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Say that. I think Cheltenham's a different ballgame with him, to be honest.
I don't think I think the ground could be firm at Cheltenham and he'd still run.
I'd trust him about as far as I could throw him, but there you go.
Yeah. I just think he plans for one meeting and that's it. And he's just not bothered about, like, he wants to turn up at 5s on. Like, he'll do this. That's what he does with every top prospect he's ever had. He finds the races where he can just turn up and beat 3 or 4 runners. It's boring as hell, but that's how he does it. And he wasn't always boring. That's the thing. You go back in your day.
He's up with the headgear now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
he might wear a sombrero tomorrow.
Russian hat off, sombrero on.
What price that is?
To be honest, it'd be great sport. Or a big cowboy hat or something.
I could see it more as a fedora.
Maybe one of our listeners, Turk, he bought John McCreerick's big cowboy hat. Maybe Turk can lend him his cowboy hat.
How much did that cost him?
I don't think about 1,000. I think at auction.
Oh,
It was his nice one as well. That
fair play.
The white one.
I'd have quite liked that. If you keep referring to Over the Fernsley, we could have bought him your Big Mac's deer stalker for you.
We should have a word with Jeff Banks and see if we can do a market for Cheltenham on Popeye's headgear each year.
That's it. Yeah, we can't do the Queen anymore. So.
I swear we can't do the Queen's hat. I mean, the King's hat's a two-horse race, isn't it? We've got black or grey, for God's sake.
Yeah. We could be Endo's hat. So Peter O'Sullivan's hat, wasn't it? Apparently, the Russian hat. 250. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it was Peter O'Sullivan. 255. Oh, Sir Peter O'Sullivan. Apparently, he doesn't like being called Peter O'Sullivan. You had to call him Sir. Yeah, he used to get face on if you didn't call him Sir Peter O'Sullivan. 255.
Well, what a face on now, like.
Yes, that's it. Remember, the dead can't harm you. It's the living that can harm you. Yes, 227. It's the Betfair Daily Rose Handicap Hurdle. Love Envoy is the 7-4 favourite for the informed Harry Fry. I personally think this horse needs it like an absolute bog, real big bog. Loves the heavy. Is at her best on heavy ground. I don't think this is going to be. It's soft, but it's not heavy. Unlike Endo, Endo might have a better view on that than me. But 7-4, I think, is too short. 7-4 is too short. I can't be taking 7-4 about this mare. I think she thrived. I backed her last year to beat something that she shouldn't have beaten. It was in a Lingfield heavy ground. Nurse Susan, they made favourite of Dan Skelton's. And I knew because it was bottomless at Lingfield, Love Envoy, it had taken an amazing mare to have beaten her. And I was right. And so that was the premise for keep backing her on heavy. Then she beat Speech Bubble. And then she turned up on soft ground, beat a horse with no name. I just believe that the deeper the ground, the better she is. So is the ground deep enough, Andy Richmond?
Not on what I've seen today, no.
No, I don't.
So you make an interesting point. It's not a race I have a particularly strong view on, but at the prices you could probably make a case for On Public, Hermes Boy, Playful Saint, if you wanted to sort of pseudo lay Love Envoy, if you wanted to. It's not a race I've got a particularly strong view on, to be honest with you.
I mean, the great Jonathan Burke, but I will be taking her on because I think she's a real soup monstrous. John Lang.
I thought Playful Saint was quite interesting, really. Each way prospect. But other than that, I'm not wrapped with the race, really.
No, so is it passe and let the dog in or let the dog out?
No, let the dog in. The dog's been out all night, probably.
Right, 255 Sandown, the Betfair Tingle Creek. Fascinating contest. Didn't think we'd probably get all contenders. What price Popeye takes out Shishkin? Not a big price given his recent record. 11-10 Fav, 2-1 Griantine, who's got an amazing course record here. Definitely runs his best races here. Edward Stone 7-1, 11-1 Gentleman to me. Thoughts here, Andy Richmond?
I don't know, really. That's sort of race I want to sort of watch, really. I take on board. We all know what Greenock Keen's going to do. It's going to bomb off in front, doesn't it? And just try and run the finish out of Shishkin. Yeah. And I don't know. At the prices, depends how close Shishkin sits to him and how well he goes. What happens to Greenock Keen's price? Everybody seems to think it's an easy, back to lay jobby, but it depends where the favourite sits that will hold that price. Oh, we've just writing off Edwardstone. I'm not sure the ground's probably soft enough for him, but he could be interesting. Gentleman to me interests me at double figure prices.
Yeah, I thought that.
I wouldn't totally write him off.
Yeah, Willie Mullins actually said prior to the Poplar Square chase that he was quite short and he needed it. And at least
if I was going to have a pop at one, it'd be, Gentleman to Me. I mean, do I have to have a bet in the race? No, I don't. It's sort of it hasn't got the make and shape of race that I probably like. But if I was going to have a pop at one, Gentleman to Me strikes me as being a tad overpriced at 12-1 on the machine.
I agree. I think Shishkin's a difficult bet, really, because you're backing a horse that's pulled up last time. It's a risky proposition. I mean, they'll work the horse at home and scull them, and they'll be happy with them. But we just don't know where Shishkin is at the moment. So, and you've got Sternhands, like contend with. It's awful watching. So yeah, for that reason, I don't want the 11 to 10 sport. We want the 12-1 sport, or at least a watch brief, bit of pay for the dog, John, etc., and we'll enjoy the event maybe.
Well, I doubt I'll enjoy the event, but I'll certainly not be having
it. Yeah. Mention for old CJ on Twitter. She's doing this amazing thing for kids and presents.
She did it last year as well.
Yeah, this Christmas. Yeah. Amazing person. And she lost her account over. I think she got it back, but she had £1,000 on Shishkin to beat in Ergamine at Ascot. I think it was in the then Bet365 said that's it. We want documentation, because obviously she doesn't bet that big that often, but she decided that no, I'm emptying the tank on Shishkin and
you should just give her the link to her Instagram account that had settled up and sent her some extra, shall we?
Absolutely, quality stuff. So I forget a Twitter. Do you know a Twitter handle? Is it CJ?
I think if you
I8 Feds, isn't it?
I8 Feds. It's something like that. But yeah, but I'm sure you'll find her if you just type in CJ something on CJ Parker. You'll get Baywatch. Right.
But that is an amazing thing she's doing for the kids. She did it last. It's absolutely brilliant. I've sent a few bits and bobs already, so if anybody would like to, if you get a few quid out of us tomorrow, then I'll retweet the link as well. She's got an Amazon list, and she goes around all the the local kiddies charities, etc., etc. It's an amazing thing she does. She's also had an auction running as well. I think they've raised about $3,000.
Yeah, for the jockey club, I think. So,
So, brilliant. I mean, hats off to anyone doing anything like that. She's done a brilliant job.
Yeah, no, this is like really heartwarming, and if we have more people like that, the world would be a better place.
She's actually there. You go.
Like that with less C-bombs.
Yeah, that's it. And instead, you've got
CJ at CJ Racing UK.
There,
if
CJ.
You go on there, you will find the lists, etc., for an amazing collection for the kids.
Thank you, Andy. Right, 3:30 at Sandown to finish us off for Saturday's cards is the London National, and Revels Hill is 15-8 favourite. A very lazy sort. So all I'll say is this: the only play I noticed for this was you lay Rebels Hill on the exchange pre-play, and you enjoy the profits after the race, because whatever happens, he will go bigger in running. He's a lazy sort. He can miss the odd fence out or two. He's not the most perfect. He's talented, and I think he's a really good I think he's more mileage off 138 as a future staying handicapper in a race of probably more exposed sorts. But that's the way for me to play the race, Andy Richmond. We lay Rebels Hill to start with, and when we get out to bigger.
I think that's the way I should be playing it as well, because he certainly he needs a bit of driving along, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There's a couple in this. I'm not sure I trust Disa Abbott as far as I can throw him either. That's another one who needs a bit of along. I suppose if you were looking for one to reverse and use as a back to lay, you'd probably be looking at a Claire Dickey if you're not a later backer and you're a back to layer. And that's probably one of the ways that I would use this. But I could imagine that Rebels Hill might eventually grind them into the dust. So if you do lay him, make sure you at least clear your liabilities. But like you, Lee, I do agree that at that price, price is everything. But if you relate the price to the run style, which a lot of people don't do, then you shouldn't be backing him at around 2-1 pre-race. You'd be better off laying him or backing him in running.
Exactly. When the prices go big. Absolutely. Then it's like pay pig. John Lang.
I shudder to think what will happen to these fuckers when that roll comes in. You can only hit them in the backhand.
Well, it's February, isn't it? It's February.
Yeah, I think. Unfortunately, I think we've got a dozen horses on borrowed time here.
Yeah, there's definitely some, yeah. I mean,
this ilk of horse is going to be so badly served by the rule change, where they can't get one behind the saddle that really livens them up. There's going to be some owners really losing faith and getting rid. I'm afraid. And I don't think this type of horse has been considered at all in the changes.
Indeed, it has to change, doesn't it? It's going to change the breeding. It has to do. I mean, your slow old birds are finished. I mean,
you're going to make a lot of these very redundant very quickly because you won't get them to do a tap. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Any laziness in the pedigree from the sire or the mother, you will never. It's something you have to look for. You don't want a lazy horse.
You're just done.
Yeah. But it's sad because lazy horses are the best. Lazy horses are the most fun. Like in running and stuff. It is. It's great. It's great viewing. To see an horse terribly off the bridle and then come through and win with ears pricked because they've just tossed it off the first half of the race. I mean, that's it. It's quite sad. It's I'm not in agreement, but there we go. Okay, we'll move on to Sunday because we need to finish this off for Irish listeners and give them a fair crack of the whip. And the 3 Grade 1s on Sunday in Fairyhouse, which definitely need looking at. Champ Keeley, I think, is a terrific hurdler, terrific technique, real quick. I can't see that beat. I looked at the Marine National, Barry Connells. Yeah, he's a big sort, very impressive. But I don't think he could match the Mullins horse, and so much so that Hercule de Soy of Willie Mullins is 11-1 in the race, and Hercule de Soy beat Imagine. Imagine came out and finished second to I Like the Way You're Thinking. It's really strong form, and because this has got it in spades in terms of it's got foot, it's got hurdling speed. I think Champ Kiley's a worthy favourite, chaps, for the Royal Bond. Thoughts, Andy?
I wouldn't disagree. I thought Irish Point of Fat Gordon's is quite interesting as well. He's certainly the type who can step up from his win last time out when he dismissed 22 rivals by 5 lengths at Cork pretty easily. I think he's one who's going to step up a hell of a lot. Again, it was a race I probably wanted to have a watch rather than betting. The one I probably want to bet is in the next race. In the Drinmore, because I'm pretty keen on Banbridge in that. Talking of good jumpers as we were earlier, but I think he dismisses this lot quite easily.
Yeah, John, did you look at the Royal Bond by any chance?
I did, yeah. I thought the favourite was a worthy favourite, and I think Pasteur will probably follow him on.
That won well at Galway. That did.
I was impressed with that. And Cromwell's just naughty these days, isn't he? You can't really leave him out of calculations. And I was really impressed with this first time.
Yeah, he did have to get serious to beat It's What Unites Us, and obviously It's What Unites Us came out.
Not bad on the top list either, I think.
Yeah, and obviously it's beat a next time out winner as well on the Billy Idol, so I wouldn't rule that one out. But yeah, Champ Kiley's the right fav. I do think that's the one to beat. But like Andy says, a fascinating race and definitely one to watch. Now the Drinmore, Andy. You're very keen on Banbridge.
Oh God, yeah. I thought this. I mean, last time out, I was surprised they dropped him back to 2 miles last time out, and he was really smart. I thought, to jump round Cheltenham like that on your second start was very, very good. I liked him as a hurdler, and I thought that was really a very, very positive performance last time out. I mean, he's beaten, Tommy's Oscar, who was, a decent horse over hurdles. Pentland Hills might not be the horse he was, but he's put him away fairly easily. Glory and Fortune weren't getting near him, and I just thought it was a really, really, really positive performance. Probably one of the better performances I've actually seen in that race for quite some time, and I think it'd be even better going back to a back-up-in trip on Sunday over 2 miles 3. I mean, you can throw in Mighty Potter and 3 Stripe Life in there as well, but I do think that the baby Joseph has got a decent one in Banbridge. I think he's going to be even better over fences than he was over hurdles. So I'm pretty keen on Banbridge.
Yeah, with the excellent JJ Slevin on board. And Three Stripe Life wasn't sure to win last time when Grand Jury sadly fatally fell at Navan. And that was the thing for me. Sorry, Nace. I was very not sure on Three Stripe Life because I'm not so sure he'd have beaten Grand Jury. You know, he's one of them. It was in the balance at the time. So I'm with Andy. I'm a Banbridge supporter because I think he was impressive on the drop back to 2 miles, which I didn't think would suit him very well. Dropping back to 2 miles, I thought this is definitely a 2.5 miles horse. So yeah, I was very impressed with.
I thought they did it because it probably gives them the range of all the options there, doesn't it? But he does, yeah. He did not jump well, and jumping wins you races, and he jumped. He's jumped the. If I was banging on about Dallamoy earlier on, then Banbridge was certainly as good as him over fences.
Completely agreed. That's my bet as well, John.
I've always liked Three Stripe Life, even since his bumper days. I was seriously disappointed with the debut over fences. I think if that one and Banbridge replicate the last time outruns, I think Banbridge will absolutely murder him. Yeah,
no, it's quite interesting that we're all unanimous on this. Yeah, because I know you've always liked Three Stripe Life, so that's an interesting thing. Maybe this is one we should be punting Sunday. 7-2 is available for Banbridge, and that's one that me, John, and Andy will like. That's with Ladbrokes and Coral. Interesting. Okay, going on to the Martin's Grace. Looks again a pretty tee up for Honeysuckle to resume winning ways to start the old Constitution Hill debate.
Yeah. Can we move on? Because I think that the handicap hurdle after that's even more interesting.
Yeah, I know you mean. There's not really a lot to say. Is it? We can't. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a honeysuckle tee-up job. I would imagine, and if she comes out and does it, then there'll be a bit of debate. But as Andy says, right, we're going to cover one more race, which is the Borders, which is the Borders National up at Kelso, and 5-1 favourite is All About Joe. 6-1 Cash to Ash. Big River, last year's winner, has put Cash to Ash to the sword twice. Can Big River do it at the sprightly old age of 12, Andy Richmond?
No, because I think Cash to Ash reverses the form.
Right, yeah, £4 better off, I think, for last year.
And if you are backing Big River, make sure is another one you want to back in running, because if you're tailed off at halfway. Yeah. But we all know actually you probably won't trade that much bigger, because what happens with these in-running horses that people get to know their run styles, they hold their price so much better. And you'll see that with Big River. I mean, he could put 20 lengths behind the last horse at halfway, and his price will have held because people are expecting him to finish off as well as he's done before. I mean, he's a bit of a legend, this horse, isn't he, Big River? 8 from 14 at the track, but he is nearing 13. He's £6 higher than he was 12 months ago, and I just think Cash to Ash has got a habit of finishing second, but I do think he's certainly got a decent chance here, and I think he's running well. If there's a dangerous one, who's sort of other interesting one is the Ferry Master, another horse who seems to have been around for absolutely ages. But he's not that actually not old. He's £5 below his last winning mark, and we all know Sandy Thompson loves a Borders national winner, has won it a few times before, but I'd be looking at Cash to Ash and the Ferry Master as a couple against the field there in the old 4 miler on Sunday. Let's hope the old sun doesn't come out of Kelso and we have to miss out the event.
Yeah, it's terrible that. But I mean, fourth in the Scottish Grand National, not this year's, last year's, was the Ferry Master off 133. 123 today for the Ferry Master.
Dangerously well handicapped.
Could be big. It could be a big Sunday weekend to get and to give John a big price winner that doesn't go on the naps table. John, thoughts on the Borders?
I was just looking down the list of runners there, and there's only 4 of these don't have any sort of gear on. Things like that. I was just thinking the slaughterhouse in Scotland's going to be very busy come end of February. You'd probably need a machine gun.
What with these new rules?
Yeah.
Have I got really bad thoughts then? That when you were saying about all these with gear on, that I'm thinking Venetia Williams should declare first time knee length boot.
Oh, well, there's that.
When she's wearing them.
Don't set John off, Jesus.
You can leave them on, Venetia. Right.
I'd start worrying if she turns up with a silence boat.
Right, that's enough absolute, Apple clean rating, under threat, as always. But I hope you've enjoyed it, listeners, this week. And any fancies, get in touch with us. You tell us what you're backing this weekend, if you can match any of ours. Hope we've been useful to you. That's all from me, John, and Naps King, Andy Richmond. We're back on Friday, as usual. And Sunday sermon, don't forget. We'll be ranting and moaning, as always. That's all from us. Bye for now.